Laytown, County Meath. Ceachta Fergus O'Dowd.
I thank the Count Corla for picking this debate. It's hugely important, and I appreciate fully that Garda resources are an issue for the for the Garda Commissioner. But people are very distressed and very concerned in East Meath, and they're right to be so. East Meath is one of the fastest growing areas in the country. The Garda station was built 20 years ago, meeting the needs of a quarter of the population that is presently there. When you compare all the electoral areas in Meath, Trim, Kells, Ashbourne, Navan, Ratoath, what have they all got in common? They all have a full-time 24/7 Garda station. They all have a superintendent. East Meath, Laytown, Bettystown, which has a further population of 34,000 to be added to by, I reckon, about 10,000 new homes over the next number of years, does not have those services, and it needs them urgently. The Garda Commissioner is aware of this, and he is listening to us. He met us in the Joint Policing Committee on the 6th of March last year, and he was aware of the boundary issue between Meath and Louth to make sure that there could be hot pursuit of criminals in East Meath from Drogheda and vice versa if that was needed. The problem is that parents really are very upset with the way some children were assaulted there recently. And a couple of Sundays ago, the Garda Dog Unit, the Garda Mounted Unit had to be in the area to make sure that peace would prevail and that thugs and people out of their heads with drink and drugs would not be able to dominate social life over a very important weekend. Estates in Drogheda, like Rosevale, like Beaubec, you ring Ashbourne if you live in one half, 25 miles away, you live Drogheda if you live in the other half. Not good enough, not acceptable. The Minister is aware of it, and I've discussed it with her, also her department, but it's up to the actual Garda Commissioner, who has listened to us in Drogheda before. He gave us additional extra Gardaí following the appalling murder of Keith Mulready Woods. So let's have action now in East Meath. The people need it, the people demand it, and indeed there's one mother, Tanya O'Neill, is campaigning very strongly on this issue.
Thank you, Deputy Jed.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think it's absolutely scandalous, Minister, that the electoral district with the second largest population in the county of Meath does not have a full-time Garda station. That is utterly indefensible. Now, I can't put it any simpler when I say that Laytown and the wider East Meath area demands and needs a 24/7, 7-day-a-week station. 3 weeks ago, as we know, a young Leaving Cert student, Jamie O'Neill, a local lad from Bettystown, was viciously beaten in a savage and unprovoked attack on Bettystown Beach. The policing district is managed out of Ashbourne and not Drogheda Station nearby, but the call that was made ended up in Kildare. This is utter madness. There are 22 guards at the moment in Laytown, up only marginally on 2016, and the area where the station is closed is managed by mobile dynamic patrols. The station now, until the crash and the cutbacks of 2008, had its own superintendent, and in fact there were plans to build a brand new station in the Laytown area to service the rapidly expanding East Meath and South Drogheda area. But responsibility was then given to Ashbourne, 30 kilometres away, to manage Laytown. Now, the area has trebled in size population-wise since 1996. It is not the small rural picture postcard hamlet that it used to be. Yes, it is still very beautiful. Yes, it is still one of my favourite places, but it has got bigger and the challenges have become more extreme. But the services have not been provided to respond to the population changes. It has suffered more than its fair share of poor planning decisions and poor public policy making in the last 20 years. Now, the people of the area are entitled to security. They're entitled to a full-time station. They're entitled to have their demands met as taxpayers and as citizens. And if we're not to agree with the emotional arguments that might be made to provide a full-time station, just look at the figures in terms of how that area has so rapidly expanded over the last few years and how it's going to expand again over the next few years in the context of the new Draft Meath Development Plan.
Thank you, Deputy Minister Nun.
On behalf of the Minister for Justice, I would like to thank both deputies for raising this important issue. The Garda Commissioner is responsible by law for the management and administration of Garda business, including distribution of members of the Gardaí throughout the state, and the Minister for Justice has no role in these independent functions. The determination of the need for the development of a new Garda station in Meath or at any other location will be considered by the Commissioner in the context of the overall accommodation requirements arising from the ongoing expansion of the Garda workforce and the availability of capital funding, as well as the implementation of a policing service for our future, the Government's implementation plan for the recommendations of the Commission on the future of policing in Ireland, and the new Garda operating model, which will inform the accommodation priorities for Garda Síochána over the years 2022 to 2030. The Office of Public Works has responsibility for the provision and maintenance of Garda accommodation. Works in relation to Garda accommodation are progressed by the Garda authorities, working in close cooperation with the OPW. Again, the Minister for Justice has no direct role on these matters. I am assured that Garda management keeps the distribution of all resources under continual review in the context of crime trends and policing priorities to ensure their optimum use, and noting the crimes cited by both deputies here this evening. There has been a recent significant increase in Garda resources in Meath in recent years. As of the end of May 2021, a total of 322 Garda members were assigned to the Meath Division, in addition to 43 Garda staff. These figures represented increases of 16% and 65% respectively since December 2015. Laytown Station in particular has had an inspector appointed in January of this year, indicating the commitment of Garda Síochána to that area. I am advised that local Garda management have taken steps to improve Garda coverage in the area, and these include increased frequency of patrols in affected areas, as well as regular support from the Divisional Operational Support Unit for the area. Meath Division is also one of 4 divisions earmarked by the Commissioner for the introduction of the new Garda operating model in the next year. The new operating model is envisaged to deliver improvements to structures, processes, services and governance, and there will be an increase in the number of frontline Gardaí. As the deputies will be aware, the Drogheda Building a Bridge to the Better Future report, recently published by Minister McAtee, carried out by Mr Vivian Gearan, a former director of the Probation Service, recommends that exploration of how to address the issue and the impact of county boundaries of Louth and Meath and the corresponding delineation between Garda districts and divisions, specifically in relation to the policing of the Laytown Bettystown area of East Meath, to be undertaken. An implementation plan for the report is due to be published by the Department of Justice shortly. And I wish to thank again the deputies for bringing this issue forward.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy O'Dowd.
I welcome the last paragraph of the Minister's statement. The Gearan report was set up following the appalling vile murders in the Drogheda area, and indeed there were murders also in East Meath, an execution of one person outside their own front door, and also there were people who are missing, believed murdered generally in the same area. So it is a huge issue. I welcome the fact that the Gearan report has been referred to, and so that means that the Commissioner is now aware of the action that he must take. And he has listened to us before, and I want to stress this. I have every confidence in him acting on it, but he needs to act now, because the Tanya O'Neills of this world are not going to wait. They're not going to see their sons or daughters or children attacked and assaulted. They want proper, appropriate Garda service, and they're entitled to it now. And the Gardaí want to provide that service. It's just that they're not there. We need the additional Gardaí. The initiative of the Commissioner Drew in Drogheda was very welcome. We need a new initiative from him now in East Meath. Thank
you very much. Thank you, Chair. I mean, today I met with local Garda management and with Tanya O'Neill, James's mum, and she speaks for all local parents and she speaks for all local citizens, in fact, who are deeply frustrated, notwithstanding the good efforts of local Gardaí and local Garda management. This is not just an emotional argument. All of the evidence is there. I mean, CSO data shows a huge increase between 2018 and 2019 in public order offences in the area. They went up by 70%. There was an increase in recorded crime to the station in Laytown, something in the region of 15% between 2016 and 2019. And we have seen far too many gang-related criminal problems in the area, with some residents complaining that there is open drug dealing going on and people behaving with impunity. Now, only 7% of all Garda resources in the community are actually deployed to the East Meath area. Given the size of the Laytown, Bettystown, Morrington agglomerated area area and South Drogheda. We're entitled to expect more. We're entitled to expect a full-time Garda station for these citizens and taxpayers to help them feel more secure and to support what is a great community that will develop further over the next few years.
Thank you, Deputy. Antara.
And again, on behalf of the Minister for Justice, I want to thank both deputies for raising this matter. I think it's vitally important, and they bring forward very serious issues in relation to crime in the area, again, which we have to tackle. I can assure you that community safety is a priority for this government and for Garda Síochána, and this is evidenced by the government's unprecedented Garda provision for this year, for 2021. In tandem with this year's record Garda budget, the Department's Justice Plan for 2021 contains a range of commitments focused on actively supporting communities to enhance the safety of all residents. These include the establishment of a special expert forum on antisocial behaviour, which has already helped to inform a new scheme to tackle the misuse of scramblers and quad bikes, as well as the launch in April of the new Youth Justice Strategy 2021 to 2027, which has a strong focus on diverting young people away from offending and building supports to provide prevention and early intervention in young people's lives. Antisocial behaviour will also be considered by the local community safety partnerships, which are to be set up at every local authority under the Department's new community safety policy. 3 pilot partnerships are currently being established in Dublin's North Inner City, Longford and in Waterford, and will run for the next 2 years ahead of a nationwide rollout, which is to be welcomed. I can assure the deputies that the Minister for Justice continues to meet the Garda Commissioner on an ongoing basis in relation to all Garda enforcement matters, and I would of course encourage any member of the public to report any incidents of assault or antisocial behaviour directly to Garda Síochána.